thank you so much for taking time out to speak to me. I caught what Josiah Saw at Fantasia last year during its festival run, and it's just a really powerful, like darkly beautiful film. I mean, for you, when you got sent the script, what was it about this project that compelled you to be part of it?
I would just say it was a very unique read. I hadn't remembered, reading anything much like it before. It was kind of a horror thriller thing, but it was like, and then it kind of turned into like a Tarantino type
Mm.
story. I was like, this is, it was structure, structure was very unusual, and love the character. But I just had the real sense that, I was like, if they can pull this off, if it's, it's going to be something, it's going to be something really special potentially, and something really unique for an audience. So, those were the elements, I guess. And I just, I was really impressed with in finally seeing it with, the execution of it on the part of Vincent, the director. I thought he did a pretty amazing job with it, and so yeah.
I mean, your character Eli is incredibly complex and broken man. As an actor, how do you sort of go about accessing that headspace? Because it's quite a dark place that he's living in.
Yeah, I mean that, that stuff is just you kind of use your imagination the best you can, and I suppose apply anything from your own life you're able to. I mean, you know his Eli's kind of childhood and his background were certainly a lot darker, rougher than mine, but you sort of, everyone has some amount of trauma, some amount of pain, I guess, and it's somewhat relative, and so I think you just kind of naturally apply all that stuff, and but yeah, just you know that's kind of part of the gig, is it's work of imagination. So just try to um you know um submit yourself to the story and the character as best you can. So
And there are some scenes that require all of the cast to be really vulnerable. How is important is it for you to have that safe space? Because I think I was talking to Vincent, and he worked really hard to create an environment where you all felt comfortable. How important is that for you guys as actors, that you have that space to play these like really intense scenes?
yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny how sometimes when you're doing like the darker, the material tends to be the more fun, like
Mm.
a crew and cast can have. It's a little perverse, but it just seems that people are just so naturally looking for levity, and the stuff you're doing is so dark, people just kind of want to break from that. And so in a weird way, like when you're doing material like that, like people are kind of sitting around laughing and things like that, and I think it's our I don't know, it's like people's natural coping mechanism sometimes. So oddly enough, we had a very comfortable and fun time making the movie. It was very quick. We had a lot of constraints, budget and time, but we also kind of had a blast making it as well. So
Which is nice to hear, because like I say, the film goes to some dark places, and it's good that you guys were able to cast it off and not just all sort of sit in silence after take after take. So.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And you and Kelli briefly crossed paths many moons ago on Bully. You know, what was it like finally sort of getting the chance to properly work with her? What was she like as a scene partner?
It was great. It was it's interesting to just this business and crossing paths at different ages. I mean, we're both adults now, and I was relieved that for her, actually, because Bully was her first movie, and that was a very chaotic kind of crazy set to be a part of. And she explained to me that because it was her first movie, she thought that that's just how every movie set was, and so I was happy that to be a part of something that was a little again, despite the dark material and all of that, it had it was much more grounded and kind of normal, whatever, sort of the way that movie sets um, function more, more normally. So yeah, I mean, I had a great time doing scenes with her too, because she's really talented, and I love what she did with the role, and it was nice to spend time with her. We got to spend time together uh, before filming started, and kind of hang out, and kind of build a sort of camaraderie again. So that was really nice.
And for Terminator nerds, it's like not myself. It's a bit strange because alt John Connor, is suddenly face to face with the T1000. That's gonna blow some minds.
And also, they're adversaries again in a weird way. Yeah, it's true. I wish, and that I really do wish I had more scenes to do with Robert, because I've always looked up to him as an actor. Just his such an amazing body of work. I had just finished watching, I think, the whole Sopranos TV show again, and I remember I'm like, oh, he's in that too. The guy was just everywhere, for so long, and he's having kind of a resurgence in his career, which is amazing, and I spent some time on the set as well before filming, so I watched Scott and Robert do some scenes, and I got to see what he was doing with the role. But then we actually started filming, and we have, not to spoil it, whatever, but we basically have one scene together. So I was a little disappointed in that, but hopefully we'll cross paths again at some point.
I think something that's really impressed me about your career is you've been acting since you were very young, and you've done TV, you've done film, the big tentpoles like Terminator, but then you seem to have been gravitating more towards the independent route. What is it about these sort of projects that excite you so much?
Honestly, like these are mostly just the films that come to me, so it's I feel fortunate that I've had a real variety of different film experiences, and but like this type of movie, Josiah, and this budget, this level of filmmaking, and fast kind of 1 month shoots and stuff are more often what I've done in my career, when I sort of look back. So something like Terminator comes along, and that was much more like an anomaly. Like, wow, how did I end up in something like this? So but yeah, I mean, I've done much more film than TV, although I just finished a series. It really just my second series since Carnival, on HBO. But yeah, I mean, I that's partly what I really like about doing this work is kind of the variety of experiences you get to have, places you go, people you work with, and it's always been a lot of fun and kind of exciting job for me. It's crazy pay you for this, to be honest. So anyway.
And I guess having such a range means that you have fans from all walks of life. What's the thing that most people want to talk to you about when they come up to you?
Surprisingly, Bully is one of them. Another a small, independent movie. I would say as many people come up to me about that as T3. Carnival, sometimes that had sort of a rabid fan base, and yeah, I would say those three, are probably the most.
Well, I'm going to say a different one because I can't have you here and not talk to you about disturbing behavior.
Oh, okay, yeah, old
Honestly,
school.
like my group of friends, it seems to be having this. I mean, I was a teenager when it originally came out, so I was sort of there at the start. But it does seem to be having this sort of like underground sort of like cult collection. I mean, you had
Hmm.
David Nutter. He has an exceptional career in getting pilots turned into TV shows. He makes his film, and unfortunately, it wasn't the success that I think a lot of us hoped it would be. But what were your memories of working on that film? Because it just seems like it was a fun film.
Yeah, it was. I was a baby. I was 17. Um, and it was. I mean, I made a lot of friends on that movie. A couple of them are dear friends to this day. Um, so yeah, it's interesting when movies like that at that age, my teenage years, they were such formative experiences for me. Because I was kind of growing up, on a film set. Um, so yeah, no, a lot of great memories. And kind of really really enjoyed working in Vancouver where we did that as well. I really kind of fell in love with that place. And yeah, those are kind of the memories I have had, you know, it, yeah, what else? I guess that's it. Sorry that's not a great ending to that
But I
sentence,
mean, I
but
think in this climate with the Netflix and things, I kind of feel that a story like that is one that's like really ripe, would work as a nice like little mini series, sort of like a pseudo like Stranger Things type thing. If they were to ever go down that route, would you return to Gavin? What's he doing now? Is he still working in the in the inner city?
I mean, of course I would be open to anything like that. But yeah, it's funny. I I would have to watch the film. I mean, it's been so long, I barely remember the uh the story, but yeah, absolutely, uh yeah. I don't know. I wish I had more to say about that film, but yeah, it's just been a very long time for me. I'm getting old is the problem.
Aren't we all? I get my my final question, back to what Josiah Saw. It's out in the world now. Why should people take the time to discover this little film of yours?
Um, I think people that are just film fans will appreciate it. I myself am not. I've never been the biggest um horror film fan, but I think it's got something for everyone. People who are really into good stories. I mean, that's really what attracted me to it. It's just a good story, and in that way, it kind of supersedes the horror genre. Like and for genuine horror fans, I think it's it's genuinely scary, and it'll satisfy the people, horror fans as well. Good performances, good story, and just really good filmmaking by Vincent Grashaw. So I think those would be the elements.
Yeah, definitely worked for me. Well, I thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with the film's release.
Thank you, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.